What's good, y'all? It is a Rainy Storm checking in for the Moon Sign series. I am your cosmic rootwork astrologer, specializing in karmic astrology, evolutionary astrology. So if you would like a book of personal reading with me, you could definitely check that link down below. At this point in time, I am taking tip and donation-based / barter and trade-based services. All my courses, podcasts, memberships, all those information and links down below, so y'all make sure y'all check that out. But let's go ahead and just jump right into it. So the month of January, we will be talking about the moon in the houses, and then in February we will talk a little bit about Mercury through the houses. So when it comes to the moon in the first house, moon, the energy of being our past lives, our relationship to the mother, also our emotional states and our emotional body. So how we deal with our emotions, how we view our emotions, and the things that make us feel the most comfortable comes from the moon. And so when we have this energy being connected to the first house, which has to do with like the self, this has to do with your actual physical body, as well as like the ways in which you are kind of like, right, the mirror, the ways in which you present to the world. And also this is the energy that you see where this is your rising or your ascendant is the energy that you are also meant to embody in this lifetime. It's not more so the sun sign, like the egoic lessons that you're learning, but this is what the universe is having you rise to the occasion. So when you have moon placed into the first house, you could definitely see somebody who is very much so highly intuitive, somebody who's very much so well connected to, depending on the aspects, you always want to check what is aspecting the moon in your chart, but usually you'll see somebody who's very in tune with their emotions. This is somebody who is very introspective. This is where you see like maybe this is the type of person that needs a lot of time to be alone to process their emotions. And then there's also when, you know, we see moon connected to the first house in astrology. This is where we see people who have a strong connection to the mother, or the strong connection to the divine feminine, or some type of feminine figure in their lives. So maybe, for example, as a child, you might have been attached to your mom's hip, or maybe depending on what's aspect in here, maybe you were taken away from your mother at some point in time, or maybe you could have even been adopted as well, with the moon in the first house. I would even say moon in the first house adoption, and then I would even say moon in the ninth house adoption too. But that's a whole nother, we'll talk about that in the ninth house, but or even the eighth house as well. But there can also be a lot of emotional wounds, like emotional and even maybe sometimes traumatic things that are connected to the mother, because the moon talks about your relationship with your mother or a divine feminine figure in your life. And I feel like there could have just been like a very strong spiritual bond with the mother in some way, shape, or form. I will say too, with the moon in the first house, you could definitely see somebody who is very fixated on what their mother kind of wants them to do. So for example, maybe, you know, this is where you could see someone who like their mom lives through them. Like they're like, you know, or you seek, maybe like subconsciously seek approval for like the things that you're doing in your life. So you're either like in a space of like, you know, maybe you're going off to college, and maybe you've always wanted to study, you know, anthropology or, you know, agriculture, whatever, right? But your mom is like, well, I feel like you should be a nurse, or I feel like you should be this, or I feel like you should be that. And because you don't want to hurt her feelings, even though that's not really what you want to do, you do it anyway, because it's something that you want to feel connected and emotionally seek this approval from your mother. So you, in this lifetime, you have to kind of learn how to break away from this idea of like people pleasing, in a sense of more so people pleasing, emotionally seeking this emotional validation for the things that you do. So in a sense, because the first house rules the self, you know, and the moon is here, this is having an emotional body that is self-serving. And when I say self-serving, I'm not talking about, you know, which there's nothing wrong with being selfish, but more so being like, how can I create my own independence that's separate from the things that I, you know, grew up knowing to do in terms of this relationship and bond that I have with my mother or my family, because the moon also rules like your family lineage and things like that. So that's definitely something to keep in mind here with the moon in the first house. This is where you can also see introspective soul, and very much so increased sensitivities as well with the moon in the first house. So this is where you can see people who are very sensitive, and I'm not just talking about boohoo, you know, sensitive. What I really do mean here is like you pick up on a lot of energies around you. You definitely want to make sure that the people that are in your environment, I would just say be careful who you hang around with moon in the first house, because subconsciously you can tend to pick up on other people's influences when you are around them too much. So you just want to be sure that the people that you surround yourself with, especially the long term, but even just on a day-to-day basis, you just want to make sure you know you got you hanging with the best of energies, because they definitely have like some type of influence on you for sure. So if you're around people who, for example, maybe do some hard drugs, and so, not to say that you're gonna jump in and do it, but you might feel subtly influenced to do those things too. Or if you don't do them, you might feel, you could start to pick up on the effects of those energies, and they can start kind of pulling you down as well. So you just want to make sure, you know, when you are, you know, and even when you're in public and, you know, talking to people and connecting with other people, you definitely take on more energies as well. Just even in connection with people, you're able to sense other people's emotions, and you can even be in a place where people are comfortable to really tell you a lot of things, especially like secrets, or people just might feel like emotionally safe and comfortable when they are around you with moon in the first house. You also want to look to see, the last but not least, not only the complexity of the emotions you have, but you want to see wherever Cancer is placed in your chart, because it rules the moon. So wherever Cancer is in the houses of your chart, it is going to color moon in the first house as well. So that is all I have. We're going to go ahead and move on to moon in the second house, and we're going to finish this week off with moon in the fourth house, and so on and so forth for next week and the week after. So y'all already know what it is. It's a rainy storm checking in, checking out without a doubt. Y'all make sure y'all hit me up, and make sure you check those links below. Like, share, subscribe if you love it, if you like it, if you love it, if you like it. And I hope to see y'all soon. All right, deuces.